Welcome. So nice to have you here with us again for the third and final in our May 2023 series of cooking demonstrations. So who's enjoyed the last two? Yep. Okay. First time here tonight is for this series. Everyone's been here before? Yeah. Oh, one there. Welcome. Hope you enjoy it. If you like the recipes from the previous ones, they are available, and the demonstrations are online on our YouTube channel for Schofield's Church, so keep that in mind. So, well, welcome along. We get to the last one tonight, and I know it's a nice, cool night tonight, and so they've got some nice, warm recipes to serve you up this evening, so that'll be great. So let's begin, shall we? For a little prayer, as we often do each time. Let's bow our heads. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much, Lord, for the mercy and love you manifest to us. Thank you for bringing us all here tonight. May you bless the presentations. May we gain an understanding of the wonderful blessings there are there in health for us, Lord, through the foods that we eat, and how we can better prepare those in a healthful way, in a nourishing way, in a way that tastes good and is good for us. So we thank you for this and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, as we normally do, we have a presentation that will run for about 20 minutes or so, and then 8 o'clock or thereabouts, pretty close to 8 o'clock, we'll go into the demonstrations of the recipes tonight. So you've all got a recipe sheet at the table there. Anyone doesn't have one? Okay, you all got one there. Great. So get ready to look along. And we're going to have our speaker tonight. She's young sister, a lady from our church here, Elizabeth Ballarezo. Elizabeth Ballarezo is actually a medical student as well, and so she's kind of given us a bit of perspective from both angles, yeah, from the natural and from the conventional side of things. A lot of information there for you tonight, and I'm just going to hope that Elizabeth is going to be ready in 1 minute, I was told. So give me a thumbs up, Elizabeth, when you're right. All right. So any questions so far, though, or any feedback on, did anyone go home last week and try out the recipes? Anyone go home who tried them out? All right, how did you go? Good? Yeah? A friend of yours did, and they were yum. Okay, so the mushroom, shepherd's pie, yeah? The snickerdoodles. Where's Vivian? The snickerdoodles, all right. And the Dutch cinnamon, yeah? Roasted lemon cauliflower potato soup with chickpeas. That sounds great. My wife, who demonstrated, I think it was it last week? Yeah, the Mexican, yeah, the Mexican beans one. Who liked that last week, yeah? Yeah, my wife, I really liked it. I really liked it. And she ended up on the Sabbath here. We have a combined lunch every week, and she ended up making 3 batches of it, and it went like that. She couldn't believe. Everyone loved it. So so that's a really nice dish as well for a nice warm dish on a cool winter's day. So thanks, Elizabeth, and we'll now hand it over to her for our little presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? It's good. I'm excited to be here tonight. I'm usually in your seat learning a lot, so it's nice to actually be out of the classroom and in person actually showing you some of the things I'm learning. So tonight I wanted to talk about longevity, because that's probably also why you're all here tonight. We all want to know how we can age better. We all want to know how we can have a better quality of life, right? At the end of the day, we want to live, but we want to live well. So that's the question, I guess, as scientists we're always asking ourselves. And actually, I was going to say, just kind of as a, if you want to say disclaimer, I'm going to be sharing some of the studies and things that I'm learning. For anything before making any changes, please consult your healthcare team. I am a medical student. I emphasize the word student. So don't take this as 100% advice and go do it. Have some discretion. All right, so we wanted to look at, what are the differences? What can we actually do to make a difference? And we ended up looking at a pretty funny looking animal, the naked mole rat. I don't know if you've seen one before. It's called a naked mole rat. It's actually, it's a type of rodent. I think it actually looks quite ugly. But the interesting thing about this naked mole rat is it baffles us because it lives 10 years longer than any of its other rodent family. It's almost resistant to cancer. You could literally expose it to radiation and it won't get cancer. It has incredible efficiency in repairing DNA, in being able to replace damaged organelles and cells, and it ages without developing chronic diseases.
Wow.
Right? I've never been so jealous of a rat. Yeah. So the question is, what does this rat know or do that we don't? Or more importantly, what we can do to find out about this animal is, what if we grabbed other rats and we tried different things to see what are the differences we can make to see if we can basically replicate these results, and then are these results comparable to humans? So that's basically where some of the research that I'm going to show you tonight has come from. So when we talk about disease, we often talk, and the big buzzword that we all worry about is cancer. The question is disease basically, do you inherit it, or is it something that you're exposed to? So we've done a lot of different studies on this, and we discovered that basically that it's differing facts, all right, it's all statistics. Basically, we found that only 30% of your genes actually will determine whether you get cancer, or different diseases, but this specific study was done in cancer. Other studies believe that it's even less than that, maybe only 10%. This is basically telling us that there is something you can do about, your own health. Often, I think, the other thing I like to remember about medicine is that it's evolving. So what I have learned, what I'm learning right now is different from maybe what your GP has learned at some point. And the crazy thing, which I completely respect, I have so much more respect for doctors, is that you have to keep learning this all the time. You never stop learning. So the question here is, what did we discover? Okay, these are just some of the key findings tonight. Taking too many calories, so can be, I'll explain a little bit more in a second, but thinking about two big portion sizes. We all love to eat. We sometimes eat too much. Also having food that is a very high calorie intake, think of a junk food meal compared to drinking a smoothie. So basically one thing is that having a really high calorie intake leads to many diseases. Unhealthy diets, we're all going to learn about some delicious food tonight, and physical inactivity, smoking and stress. Now I'm not going to touch too much on the smoking and stress tonight. There's, again, different opinions on that. I don't believe stress is bad for you unless you don't know how to manage it and basically continue and keep up with the stress on your body. But let's talk about these three things tonight: excessive calorie intake, unhealthy diets, and physical inactivity. All of those things, believe it or not, can lead to everything in that list there. Almost every single disease. And so basically, if we want to break it down further, mental stress, sleep deprivation, a sedentary lifestyle, again, too many calories, and an unhealthy diet leads to all this. And I think what's exciting about the nutrition and medicine at the moment is that we're not just looking at, is this food healthy for you? What we want to understand is, how is this food changing the different signaling pathways inside of you to create the disease or healthiness that you see? So it's not just about eating something healthy, it's how am I altering all these different signaling systems. Okay, so one of the findings we found, surprising or not, disease is not necessarily linked with getting older. Okay? You do not have to get older and sick. You do not have to expect sickness unless you have a lifestyle that is creating that. Okay? I think that's exciting, all right? So the other thing is, one of the biggest things was calorie restriction. I've kept saying it because that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about, okay? So here's the thing. What we did was, well, not I did, but what some group of scientists did was we took lots of rats and we tried basically lowering their calorie intake by certain percentages. And what we discovered was that the rats that had a lower calorie intake actually got to an older age. I think it was about between 25 to 30% of the rats got to a really old age in rat years without getting sick. We then replicated these studies in humans, and even in humans you wouldn't necessarily say their BMI was too high. It wasn't that they were overweight, but rather just by lowering their calorie intake by 25%, there was a huge increase in their body's ability to actually take in sugars and it not having a bad effect on their body. Okay, so often I know we talk a lot about improve your diet, improve your diet. One of the biggest modulators to a healthy diet was actually just reduce your calorie intake. I am going to emphasize though, it is without malnutrition. So if you're taking in a lot of calories and you need that many calories because your food is of a poor quality, if you then reduce your calories, you're going to end up with malnutrition and lots of vitamin deficiencies. So this is where I would say definitely consult a nutritionist and your doctor before you just suddenly halve your meals. That's not what I'm saying. But definitely be more conscious about your food portions. In Western culture, we have our food portions are usually really, really big. And we have to start thinking about, is this actually giving more food to my body? So let me just speak a little bit to this. So one of the things with dietary restriction was often there's a buzzword at the moment with intermittent fasting. It has been proving that it is good for your body. How many hours? I'm not going to go into that tonight. I'm just giving you an overview of some of the benefits. So limiting your food consumption between 5 to 7 hours a day, we saw that there was an increase in insulin sensitivity. So if you have diabetes or you know someone who has diabetes, it can actually just help to make your body more sensitive to insulin if you reduce your calories. The other thing is the stem cell function is an interesting one. Stem cells, put up your hand if you've ever heard about stem cells. Yeah, it goes here and there. Stem cells we love to talk about because stem cells are basically cells in your body that haven't, the way I think of them is they haven't chosen what they want to be when they grow up yet, okay? So they're like these cells that are we say undifferentiated because they haven't chosen what they're going to be yet, or they haven't been told what they're going to be yet. The important thing about that is we often use them in cancer research because if you can have a cell that hasn't chosen what it wants to be yet and you have damaged cells in your body, then by inserting stem cells into your body, you can actually create many positive changes. So essentially, to summarize this in English, by taking less calories, your body is better at repairing itself. You are better at processing sugars. Your cells are less likely to die as quickly. Your energy, so mitochondria, we always talk about energy, your energy will actually improve. Tissue repair will improve. Inflammation, so if you have autoimmune conditions and you're struggling with that, your inflammation reduces. We've often overlooked we always talk about a healthy diet, but we've just overlooked the fact that if you're taking too many calories, you're causing all the opposite of this. Right? All right, let's talk about exercise. Yeah, who loves to exercise? Yeah. Who has a bad relationship with exercise? Like you're not excited? Yeah? Cool. I appreciate the honesty. I think that's always important. I should say before medicine I did music, so that's more of like my niche. But I have to say exercise isn't something I was ever so crazy about. I had to find a love for exercise because in my music degree I actually got injured. And that also led me down a path of discovery in medicine because I want to know, how do you have an athlete who is performing really highly, gets an injury, how do you reverse that? That was my question. And interesting, almost everything comes back to resistance training. But let me talk about exercise. All right, let's talk about fat, okay? So when we talk about fat, not all fats are bad and equal. So let me explain. So when we talk about Firstly, one type of fat is subcutaneous fat. That is the fat that probably gives us our curves that you can just see. It's on the surface pretty much. It's just underneath your skin. And then you have visceral fat. Visceral fat is fat that you find in between your organs, okay? So it's going to be like more into the center of your abdomen surrounding. Now, the interesting thing about fat is that we often just think about, okay, I eat too much, it's going to just be stored somewhere in my body. Fat is now considered to be an endocrine organ, meaning that it actually sends plays with your hormones. So it actually sends different signals in your body and changes the way your body's reacting to different things. Did you know that? So literally, when we talk about endocrine organs, we might think about, other parts in the brain sending off, or other parts in different glands, but literally fat is considered an endocrine organ. So often, if you ever have had a blood test and you get back your bad fats, good fats, LDLs, HDLs, all that jazz, what we're actually finding is that visceral fat in particular actually sends off signals that increases your bad levels of fat in your blood. Okay, so it's actually not so much the subcutaneous fat that we worry about, it's more about the visceral fat that we're worried about. And one way that you can actually just get rid of that is by resistance training, endurance exercise. So this was a study that was done where we had people, it was in controls and also exercising for 12 months. And basically what we found was that basically all the white things is fat. And I don't know if you can see, but in between like the organs, there's a lot of fat on the left, in the left picture. After doing exercise for a certain amount of time, we saw a reduction in visceral fat. Now there's still fat outside, the subcutaneous fat, we're literally not so concerned about that. So basically, when you're losing weight, and in particular your visceral fat, you're actually changing the way your body responds to different things. The amount of hormones, the amount of different fats and good fats that are in your blood. So again, we often overlook all of like the powerful things we can do by calorie restriction and exercise. I wanted to just quickly chat about this, but don't worry, I'll break it down. So essentially, I wanted to touch on just a little bit about like insulin resistance and diabetes and all of that. So if you look over there on the right, we've got this GLUT4. GLUT stands for glucose transporter. It's one of the most important transporters that we have. It basically involved within that glucose uptake and all that. Essentially, GLUT4 kind of like usually sits, or the precursor to that, sits inside the cell. And when there is like more insulin in your body, it basically sends a signal and tells basically GLUT4, hey, go to the surface of the cell and be ready to take glucose into your cell. In diabetes, basically there is either a problem with your body to actually produce insulin, or there is a problem with your body not actually responding to insulin, one of the two. So essentially, if there isn't enough insulin in your body, that GLUT4 isn't going to be as present, which means that there's more sugar in your body. So essentially, you can bring on this vicious cycle of your body's not actually processing your glucose. So essentially, what we have found is that when you train for at least 1 hour, you're actually making that GLUT4 come to the surface of your cell membrane. And that effect lasts for only 48 hours. Okay? So you have to train for at least 1 hour, and for those that, after that 1 hour, for 48 hours, your body will be better at processing sugars. Okay, so when you're going out, next time you're out, doing a walk, or you're like, this is a little boring, just think, now I can have more sugars. No, that's not what I'm saying. But essentially, you can actually improve the way your body is taking in sugar. So that also means if you have diabetes right now, or you have pre-diabetes, by doing this is like pretty much almost as powerful as taking the meds that you're taking right now, or will have to take at some point in the future, if you can get into an everyday exercise routine. So I will emphasize again, you need to do it for at least 1 hour in 48 hours, but then that lasts. Now, it's interesting because in this study, we had on the bar where it's white, these are people that are not training. The black is people that have trained, and then the next is detraining, or people that have stopped training. So basically we found that even though you lose the effect for 48 hours, even like you will still have like really good results, better insulin resistance than you did before than when you weren't training. Does that make sense? So essentially you're changing your body's baseline for processing sugars just by exercising. Oh, yes?
Some people say, okay, you're saying that 1 hour, but you have to work up a sweat. Some people say you have to really work up a sweat, whether it's 40 minutes or an hour, compared to just doing 1 hour and not even sweating.
Look, it depends. For me, what's more important? Sorry? Oh, yes, sorry. Hang on. So it looks like my phone and laptop are talking to each other. They're having another conversation. Okay, so the question was, do you have to work up a sweat in order to actually have those results? The particular training regime that they follow to do this, I actually do not have at the top of my head. I'll have to go look at the study. My understanding of this though is, it's more about, I always think about it in balance, okay? You have your cardio, which is like, you have your resistance training, you have your endurance exercise, you have flexibility. You need all of that. I think the problem I often find is, I was chatting with some friends, and friends who do cardio, for example, I personally love Pilates. It's just something that I've always gotten into. I love the core strength. I love feeling that I'm in control of my body. And so I had a friend who was doing cardio, and she's great at cardio, I cannot keep up with her, went to a Pilates class and she almost fell apart because she didn't have all of that small muscle control that you get. For me, whatever it is that you do in that hour, I'm like, basically, and this is just like literally my personal opinion is, as long as you have tried to cross a baseline than you did last time, you're doing better for yourself. And I think that honestly should be the goal. Because if you go out and you do to break a sweat and you run 5Ks, you might not be able to walk tomorrow. That's not going to be like good to get you into a consistent cycle. I think this is more saying consistency than anything. I would rather, if you're going to walk for an hour and it's going to be a light walk, please do that every 2 days, do it. I would rather you do that than not do anything. So I'd go more for the consistency than anything. I hope that answers the question. Okay, the other thing to speak about this is, we often discuss weight loss and maybe also for like the physique that we want to look in a certain way. Now, weight loss, literally the way to lose weight is literally exercise more than what you're eating. That's baseline, that's simple math of how you lose that. Yep. Oh, yep, there we go. Sure. So essentially, actually, let me see if I can, no, okay, never mind. Okay, so we don't want to just lose weight. Weight loss is good, as we're talking about calorie deficit, but then the issue is that if you're just losing weight and you're not doing anything else, you're also losing, like, muscle is weight, water is weight, anything that is actually weight in your body. What you want to do is get that calorie deficit along with strength. Now, osteoporosis is something that we worry about, right? As we age, the chances of osteoporosis increase heavily. One of the best ways, and I don't have the study tonight, but one of the best ways to reduce your risk of osteoporosis is specifically weight training. You actually have to pick up weights. And often, like, we think about, oh no, like only certain people, or, you know, the gym junkies, they do weights. Really, all the population should be doing some sort of weight training. It's like, in terms of exercise, the best exercise to reduce the risk of osteoporosis. So essentially, we want to get that calorie deficit down, and we want a strong, toned body. Now, here's an interesting thing. I'm going to jump over now. So we've talked about calorie deficit. We've spoken a little bit about exercise. Let's talk about diet. So interestingly enough, when we're talking about genetics and all of that, we have, scientists have discovered that essentially, oh, never mind, that's gone over. Let me tell you. What you eat when you are a teenager can basically influence your family up to 3 generations. I'm going to say that again. What you eat as a teenager can influence your family up to 3 generations. Now, some of us think, well, we're not teenagers anymore, so does that really matter? Well, I think of it in 2 ways. One, if you are going to have kids in the future, you can, or you have family, you can educate them. But also think about this, if you learn this and you take it away and you implement it in your life and you tell someone who is there, you are not only telling someone some, a little piece of truth, you're also influencing their family for the next 3 generations if they listen. So the effects of what we do, we often think, well, it's just a little cheesecake for me. No, it's not. It never is. We're changing the people around us as well. So let me go forward, here we go, to the Mediterranean diet. So essentially, a lot of studies have, and you've probably heard this is another buzzword, the Mediterranean diet. Essentially, so studies have shown that in the region of like the Mediterranean, traditionally we would consume a lot of minimally processed whole grains, a large variety of fruit and vegetables, fresh fruits were your dessert. When we're talking about fats, it was usually extra virgin olive oil. And what we've discovered is basically the best thing to go as well when we talk about improving the nutrition of your diet is just to go back to that Mediterranean diet. We found people who had the Mediterranean diet had the least chronic diseases, had more longevity, and also the thing with actually processed, like eating fruits and vegetables, is that you actually get full faster with all that extra fiber, and so then you're not consuming as many calories. So all these things that we just spoke about how a high calorie intake causes all these diseases, it almost just basically gets rid of that. So that's just a little picture on the Mediterranean diet. And basically the last thing to say on that, on everything we've discussed is, while on the orange scale here we have people who, sedentary, you're not doing much. In the middle we have runners, and then the purple line is people who are on a calorie deficit, essentially. This is like basically showing their survival. The highest one was calorie restricted. But what we just want to emphasize is that it's not like you can't just get rid of just low calories and you'll be fine. As we showed, if you just reduce your calorie intake and you lose weight, your body's going to be weak. Okay? But if you do calorie deficit, a healthy diet, and exercise, it's literally the dream team to get some of those stats like we saw in our original friend, the naked mole rat. Okay? And to give you a little inspiration, if you think, well, exercise isn't really for me, I wanted to introduce you to this person, Joan MacDonald. She started her training, her exercise journey at the age of 70. Yes. She had really bad diabetes, she had a lot of chronic diseases. Her doctor was telling her, hey, I need you to take 1 more medication now. And literally her daughter called her up. She's like, Mum, we need to do something different because what you're doing right now is actually just getting you into this vicious cycle. And she thought, you know what? It is time to make a change for me and my family. She started doing a whole range of exercises. She's cycling, especially weight training. And all these pictures are the same person. The same person. And then on the right, the very fit, smiley person is Joanne at 73. This is just a 3-year difference. So if you think that exercise, you're too old to start exercising, it's not really for you. It is literally just about introducing a consistent, basically routine into your life. So my practical tips are, find something that you get excited about. Don't go out running for the sake of running. Maybe run to something. Park your car 2 k's away from a really beautiful park. Yeah? Don't think about, I'm going to reduce my food. Think about, how can I feed my body better food? Don't think about, how can I my food is going to become more disgusting and I'm not going to enjoy it. No, think, I'm going to actually make a change. I can actually be making a change for 3 generations from here. I want you to think about, how can you not only live longer, but live better? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Who enjoyed that? Yep. Discover something new from the talk? Great. Fantastic. Well, tonight we're going to apply some of that Mediterranean diet. I know the Western diet is French fries, right? You know, the number one vegetable consumed in Australia is potatoes. Very good, isn't it? Potatoes. But guess how they consume them? Fries. That's right. So we're going to look at tonight's recipe, oven-baked zucchini fries. How about that? And Tanya is going to present that for us. So how are we going out there, Tanya? Are you ready? Here she comes. Fantastic. All right, so without further ado, I'll hand it over to Tanya and she'll take us through the oven-baked zucchini fries. Thanks, Tanya. We'll just set you up with the microphone here.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Oh, everyone's feel like they're tired or want to go to sleep. Is that how we're feeling at the moment? Look, good evening, everyone. That's better. All right. Who's looking forward to tonight's menu? Okay. So it's a little bit thicker than usual, the sheets that are there. But I'm sure that you will thoroughly enjoy what we've got planned for you tonight. Okay, this one's a very straightforward and easy recipe. Oven-baked zucchini fries, so it's not, I don't know if anyone has eaten it grilled. If you have, and they have the zucchini fries there that are soaked in oil, yeah?
Yes.
It's not very pleasant, but this is, let's
Burgers
say,
are good.
an easy or easy but healthier version of the zucchini fries. So we'll get straight to it. So I've got here just two small to medium zucchinis. Okay, now the trick with the zucchini fries is you don't want to make them or cut them up too small. If you cut them up too small, they will go soggy, sloppy, and then it's not a zucchini fry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in half this way, and then lengthways cut again in half, and then half again. So you want them roughly about that size, yeah? So I'm going to just cut my zucchinis all up like so. Okay, now with these we don't have to do anything to the zucchinis other than just like that, and have them ready for the batter. Now, with the batter, I've got here the flour, and I've already mixed it up at the back there. So I've got the flour, the paprika, the onion powder, and the salt. So that's in this batter mix here. Then I've got the oat milk here, and I'm just going to pour that straight in. And then I'm just going to whisk that up. So you don't want the batter to be very runny or too thick either. So you want like a pancake batter, really. So we're going to whisk out any lumps there. Yes, so this is a vegan version. So it's any plant-based milk. I've just gone with the oat milk, and it's I've just used an unsweetened one. You can, if you wish. Yeah, it will do the same thing if you wish to use just the normal milk. Yeah. So it will be a consistency like that. And so that's ready. And then I've got in this one is the panko
breadcrumbs, or not really breadcrumbs, it's panko crumbs is the best one to do the zucchini because you'll have that crunch once it's come out of the oven. So I've got the panko crumbs in here. I've also got onion powder, as well as the mushroom seasoning. Now it's totally up to you what you want to mix into that. If you want, say, pepper flakes, or you want a little bit of a kick to it, it's totally up to you. But what I've got there on the recipe sheet is just a guide, yeah? So I've got this one ready to go. And then what you want to do is have your tray lined with the baking paper, and you basically just take the zucchini, and this was the fun bit today. It was like you use one hand for the wet, the other hand for the dry. It never works, I can say that much, because you're always going to get the dry hand with some of the wet ingredients on it. So it's straight into the, see what happens? You just forget about it. That's not how it was supposed to be. Okay, and then just give it a toss, and then it will look like that. You put it straight onto the tray. I'll just do a few more here. And this is, if you've got little kids, it's a fun way to get them involved in it. You know, you might have one that does the wet ingredients and the other one does the dry ones, and it just teaches them a little bit of cooking as well, you know, getting them into the kitchen. I'll do one more here. Coat it really well. And then onto the tray. Now, once you've done that, it's totally up to you whether you want to spray it with the oil. If you choose that you don't want to use oil, it's fine. It can still go into the oven just like that. But the oil, just having a light spray of the oil on it it'll come out of the oven with that little bit of a crunch to it. So you can use whatever oil spray that you have. I've got the olive oil spray here. I'll just give it a quick, and that's it. And then it's ready to go into an oven at 200 degrees. And depending on obviously how strong your oven is, the one that we've got here, it's supposed to be in a 200 degree oven for about 35 minutes. But I found that I put it into our oven back here and it was only in there for about 15-20 minutes. The 200 degree back here is not the same as what I've got at home. So, and then that's it. You basically print, like once it's lightly browned, it's ready to go, and it's delicious to go straight away. Like you can eat it like that, or just have your favorite dipping sauce. Now, I do have a recipe that's on the sheet there for a dipping sauce for the zucchini fries. Now, it is like a ranch-like dressing or a dip. So I won't actually demonstrate it here to you. And just before we move on to that, I've just noticed that on the sheet for the zucchini fries, there is a typo there. Just in the method there, that it's got pepper on there. There is no pepper in the actual ingredients, so just disregard that pepper that's there. So with the creamy ranch-like dipping sauce, it's just a cup of the tofutti sour cream, and then a cup of whatever vegan mayonnaise that you can either make your own, or if you're there are a lot of vegan mayonnaise available at your supermarket. It's just a cup of tofutti sour cream, a cup of vegan mayonnaise, a tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, and then it's finely chopped up spring onions. You mix that all together, and then a 1/4 cup of sweet chili sauce, and then all of that mixed up really well. Have the flavours all just, infused together, and that goes really well with the zucchini fries. So as you can see, it's on display here, and it's actually in the next thing that's going to be demonstrated by Vivian. So that's a straightforward, creamy ranch-like dressing or dip, and the zucchini fries. So that's it from me, and I'm going to pass it on to the next person to show you the next thing.
Thank you, Tanya. And we have Vivian next. Is that right? Yes, great. Thanks, Vivian. And she's going to do savoury pancakes / wraps. Okay. We're all used to the pancakes for breakfast, usually with some maple syrup or whatnot. Okay, these ones are savoury pancakes. Thanks. Thanks, Vivian.
Okay, good evening everybody, welcome. Bit of fluff on the plate, let's not get that. Okay, so you'll be trying this pretty soon, but what we're working on right now is the pancakes or flatbread or whatever you want to call it. They're not sweet. So if you think of pancakes as sweet, these aren't sweet. They're actually salty, there's salt in the recipe, but super simple. So all we've done is that's the water. We've pre-soaked some red lentils and some oats. About 2 hours. We haven't done it for longer, so I don't know what happens if you try it overnight. They might just soak up more water, I'm not sure. So trial at your own discretion, but we've got these, so I'm just going to drain the water out of them. They don't have to be super dry, but most of the water. So that's the oats and the red lentils. Okay, and I'm going to pop those into our Vitamix. I'm going to try and do it without making too much of a mess. Let's see how we go. So you've got to sort of make this ahead of time a little bit, but once you've done the soaking, the rest of it's easy. Oh, I'm getting caught. Thank you. Okay, and then to that we add the extra water there. So it's 1/4 cup of the red lentils, 1/4 cup of the oats, and then 1/2 cup of water. There's no measurement for the soaking water, just to cover, I suppose. Oh, thank you. And then we've got our salt, which is 1/2 teaspoon, but you can obviously adjust to taste. So that all goes in there. Now I'm going to make some noise and get this all blended up. All right, while I'm doing that, just eat. Enjoy. How's it tasting? It's all right? Okay, so we've sort of got a very thin, runny consistency here. You can adjust.
The sample has the zucchini fries, correct?
The sample has the zucchini fries, the dipping sauce that Tanya didn't demonstrate but talked about, and oh, thank you. And then this wrap thing that we're about to do. So, then what you're going to do is get your grill going. Heat up your pan and then make them like pancakes. I'm not expert at this, my mum's the expert at the pancake flipping, so I'm not going to try to do anything fancy. We'll try and keep it all in one piece. But if you've got multiple pans, you can obviously do this, have a few pans going at the same time. Mum used to do pancakes on Sunday morning and she was a pro at doing four pans at once.
Did everybody get one? Everybody got one?
Yes? Okay. All right, so you can spray the pan lightly with some oil if you like. We've done these without oil, and I'm going to attempt to do this. Hopefully it works again. We'll see. So this recipe gets you about 5-ish pancakes. You can adjust the consistency by adding more water or less water. And we just let that cook one side, and then once it's cooked, you flip it, you'll see the bubbles form on the top. Don't know if we can you guys see on there? Sort of getting some bubbles forming on that. So I looked up some facts for you. Red lentils and oats are both good for reducing cholesterol and lowering your blood sugar. So it's good for cardiovascular, for diabetes. Yeah, I think that's as far as I got. But there you go, some good things in these pancakes for you. I think some of them have antioxidants as well. I think it's the oats that are partly antioxidant or have some antioxidant properties.
That was our talk last week.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there we go. Good.
It's all good.
All right, we're linking. That's good. All right, we're starting to form a little bit of a crust on the bottom here, but I'll give it another second or so. Might have to sort of pick it up a little bit. Oh, don't know if we're forming here. We're going to attempt to flip it in a minute. We're still waiting. Yeah, any thoughts, any feedback? We take constructive criticism as well, so that's fine.
They are good, yeah?
Okay.
I feel like another one. Doesn't seem to be cooperating this time without the spray, so let's see how we go. They always say the first pancake is never good, so we're just going to go by that motto. Yeah, you got to get the temperature right.
That's right, exactly.
Just for those
Anyway.
at home, we'll just show you the sample of what the ladies do out the
Professional
back
looking
there.
little pancake there.
There you go. That was the
Yeah, right.
done up with the zucchini fries.
My sister, who is younger than me, always jokes that children are like pancakes. The first one is never as good. It's okay. We love her. She's all right. All right. We'll try the next one with some spray. You might have to start off with some spray. We didn't get the pan hot enough. Sorry? The first one needs more work. There you go. Exactly. All right, we're going to pop that one aside. That's the first one. Paul, you said you wanted seconds. There we go. All right.
Thank you
We're gonna
very
do a light
much.
spray of oil
So
and try
kind
the
of, that's
second
very
one.
Christian of you. Thank you.
All right, there we go. We've got some sizzle there. We'll try and make this a little bit. We'll try that now. But yeah, so this recipe makes around 5 pancakes, give or take, I suppose, depending on how big you do them. If you do it a thicker batter, you can make them more like pikelets. Or thin it out, and they're more like crepes, I suppose. I'm getting impatient, sorry, I'm waiting. I'll wait. Anyway, we'll do this one, and then you kind of get the gist on how to do them. Everyone else here is probably a better pancake flipper than me, so that's all right. We were wondering whether you could make this a sweet pancake. We didn't attempt it, so I don't know if anyone else wants to give it a go. I don't know how sweet lentils work. but if that's something someone wants to try, go for it. Be my guest, I'd love to hear back. No, we are still not cooperating here tonight. I reckon the heat is different in here than it was out there. That's my excuse. That's okay. You guys know how they're supposed to turn out anyway.
We get the idea, yeah? We get the idea. I know. I have so much mercy for you when it comes to pancakes.
That's all right. You don't have to eat these. These will be for Paul. It's all right.
Thank you.
But yeah, so basically that's it. They are very, very simple as long as you get this part right. They're okay. But yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, what have we got? Soup. We've got soup next. So enjoy that one.
So that's it?
That's it. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Well done. So that was really great, wasn't it? We saw a combination there. See, three different recipes, and yet look what you can do with it. Wouldn't that be lovely to serve for an appetizer or something at a luncheon or a function, or family get-together, whatever it might be? Really good. Yeah, so that's fantastic. So thanks very much to those, to Tanya and to Vivian with that one. Next we have, on the recipe sheets here, going in order tonight, we have lima bean and broccoli soup, or broccoli soup, yeah? Okay, so thanks, and it's... Rosetta's going to demonstrate that one? Yes, very good. Yes. Okay, Rosetta. Well, thank you very much, and I'll hand it over to her now. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. How did you go last week? Did anyone try the recipes that you had last week, those of you who were here? Yeah? Anyways, plenty of time to try them. All good. Okay, this soup, broccoli and lima bean soup. As I've said many times before, I like stuff that's easy. I'm not one to spend hours in the kitchen. If I can do something simple and that it tastes good, I'm happy. So this soup is one of those things. It's simple, easy, quick, and it goes really well. So what we're going to start off with is the base of practically every soup. A bit of onion, a bit of garlic, celery, and a tiny bit of oil, just to get it sautéing. I'll just take these lids off. So first thing we do, I've chopped up some onion quite roughly. It doesn't have to be very fine because the soup's going to be all blended up in the end anyway. So I'll just put a drizzle of oil in there. Don't need much. Turning him on might help. Okay, so we put our onions in. We've got, that's one onion, 2 cloves of garlic crushed up, and that's what gives it the nice aroma. 1 stick of celery chopped up lightly. You can put it in whole, but the trouble is when you blend it up, celery tends to have a lot of strings. So if you chop it up, it's better because otherwise you'll have, long strings and people will think you've left your hair in there or something. So not very appetising. So that's it there. To start off with, that needs to simmer a little bit, just to get the celery a little bit more broken down. Vivian? And she comes back out. I'll need a litre of water for this, 4 cups of water, but it needs to be nice and hot. So I'll get Vivian to get me my water, my boiled water. It's boiling, okay, and I've got my measuring cup here. All right, so this needs about 5 minutes just to get the celery soft. Then I like to put the salt in with the onion. Some people put salt at the end. I like to put it with the onion because it helps the onion to break down. So I've got the salt and the stock in there. So that just helps the onion break down a bit quicker. Makes the celery wilt easier. Okay, it's starting to brown up a bit. Smelling good. Can you smell it? The garlic, it just does it. Oh, if ever you want someone to think that you're a really good cook, just put some onion in a fry pan and garlic, and oh, the aroma's just beautiful. When your husband comes home, he thinks you're doing a marvellous job. He said, oh, dinner's on, I can smell it. Smells so good. Okay, so that's sort of wilted down. The onion's starting to caramelise a little bit. And as soon as that water's boiled out there, we've got one large head of broccoli. We've just broken it up and in pieces. Doesn't need to be, very fine. As I said, it's all going to get blended up. I was going to put that water on to boil before I came out here. I forgot. Awesome. Put it down. Thank you. So I need a litre. This is half a litre, so I'll need 2. Oh, now you can hear me over all that noise. Thank you, Viv. Okay, it doesn't need to cook very long because broccoli cooks very quickly, okay? This doesn't need a lot. But while this is going, what I'd like to do is make the cream that goes with it. So I'll leave that for about 5 minutes. That needs to sit there to cook a bit. Oh, and the beans. Lima beans, tin of lima beans. If you want to put the dry beans, you have to cook them beforehand, obviously, and then put them in here. But otherwise, the cheap way is just to get a tin and do it that way. Much easier. So I'll put the tin, the whole tin, everything, just in there. And that'll all nicely warm up together. So while that's happening, I'll need the water jug, please, again. We have half a cup of cashews, just cashew pieces, into the blender. And she's taken everything away from me. Too efficient.
What are you needing now? The hot water, is it? Hot water are you needing?
Hot water, yeah.
That's what you need.
Hot water. Boiling water, it just makes it quicker, that's all, and it makes the broccoli start cooking straight away virtually, so it's good. It's really nice and dark green now, so it doesn't need much. The beans are already cooked, the onion's already done, the garlic. So when it's nice and green like that, it only needs a couple more minutes. What happened out there. Anyway, the water's coming, hopefully.
Are you there, Vivian?
Doesn't need to be boiled, I just need the water, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, and that,
Thank
I do
you.
need that. So it was half a cup of cashews and a cup of, was it a cup? Who's reading the recipe for me? 1 cup. Okay, 250 mils in there. And then just blend it up. So that is my cashew cream. So instead of putting sour cream, you're putting cashew cream in the soup. And I'll just take this out because I'll need that. That's all right, I'm going to put the soup in it. And the soup is done. That's sort of it. I'll turn it off, and I need to put that now in the blender. You can use a stick blender if you like, and just do it on the stove. But I find if you put it into a blender like this, it will be a better consistency. It won't be chunky. And it probably takes the same amount of time. So, thank you. And then I've got another saucepan to put it in, and I will add, which I should have added some to this. You add the bit of the cashew cream. I'll put a little bit more in here, and then you just leave a little bit aside, and you can use that for garnishing at the end. That one. The rest of the soup in here. You'll get to try it in a sec. I'm sure they're plating it all up, are they? All right, I'll tip the rest in. All done. Back to the blender. And of course you can adjust your salt or any other herbs that you want, or that's that one. Thank you. So that's our soup made. That was nice and quick, wasn't it? And it's beautiful for this time of year when it's cold and you just want a nice warm soup. And then you can just use the rest of the coconut cream to put a drizzle on top. A little bit of parsley just to garnish it so it looks nice and fresh. Voila! Your soup's ready.
Thank you.
You could probably freeze it. Yes, I'm sure you could. I haven't tried, but I'm sure you can freeze it.
But you have to reblend it.
You'd probably, yeah, because it will separate. The water will separate, so you'd have to reblend it after you defrost it. Yeah.
Are they lima beans or butter beans?
Same thing.
But what did yours actually?
Oh,
I took it away, but it was butter beans.
butter beans.
I know they're the same, but you can't buy labelled lima beans.
No, that's right. They are labelled as butter beans. Yes, that's correct.
Or you can,
I'm sure you can substitute it. Yeah, you can substitute the cashews for almonds, or you could even use soy cream, or you could use tofu, blended up tofu. You could even use, what are they, sunflower seeds?
yep, sunflower seeds, yeah.
Coconut cream, of course, yeah, coconut cream, that's right. So there's a lot of things you can use as a cream. Yeah.
And could you use chickpeas instead of the beans?
You could use chickpeas instead of the lima beans, yes, that's another, I mean, you know, you could do anything you want. You could even use cauliflower instead of broccoli, so you know, you get 100 different combinations. A lot of different things. Thank you. That's it, and we'll get Tanya out here.
Great, thank you very much.
Did everyone get some soup?
How's the soup? Good? That's great. I don't like the wooden spoon, that's the only thing. But it goes down smooth with a steel spoon. So thanks, Tanya. She's going to take us through the next one, and seems like we've got a power-packed night for you tonight, haven't we? Next one is hearty vegan beef stew. Hearty vegan beef stew. There you go. All right, sounds good, doesn't it? Okay. Thanks, Tanya. I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Hi again. Can never get enough of me, can you? Okay, so we've got a hearty vegan beef stew. If you don't mind just grabbing, I forgot the packet. Back there, it's just well, my tray's pretty full. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to be demonstrating with the TVP beef slices. Now we sell these in the store downstairs. For anyone that's wanting to, maybe incorporate, you know, something in turn of, you know, your meat in stews and things like that. This is actually very handy. Now, a lot of people may look at it and go, what do you do with that? Like, how do you cook this stuff? So this recipe comes in handy when trying to use something like this. So what I'm going to start off with, you've got there on your recipe sheet, I'll just find, I've got it right here. So what I did was I soaked, it is flavourless, so it doesn't have any flavour in it, these beef slices or TVP, whether it's TVP mince or whatever it might be, the chunks or whatever you might get, there is no taste in it. But you've got to be creative, I guess, in trying to incorporate your flavours into these TVP mince or the beef slices here. So what I did earlier on was I soaked the TVP, 2 cups of the TVP beef slices into, with boiling water, and I had put in there 2 tablespoons of stock powder and 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce. Now I left it to sort of, you know, get the flavours, for it to actually soak the flavours in for a good 15 to 20 minutes. Now after I had soaked it in for that amount of time, I've then discarded the liquid, and then I've I've actually pressed on the beef slices slightly to sort of bring out more of the liquid. You don't want it to be sitting with too much of the liquid. And this is what you end up with. Okay, so into this, I'm just going to move this tray over a bit. And I'm going to add the beef slices here. And I'll find which container had my flour in it. Here we go. So I've got here some flour, just so you know, your all-purpose flour. So I've got a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to sprinkle that in. I might save just a little. I'm going to need it after. And then into that, I've got, you'll see there on your recipe sheet that there's 2 tablespoons of mixed herbs. I've got there rosemary, thyme and sage. So into the mix, it's all fresh. These are all the fresh herbs. So I'm going to put half of this mix into the bowl, and I'm going to save some for later. All right. Now you just give it a bit of a toss. Just to get the TVP beef slices coated in that flour. And now what I'm going to do is turn on my pot here. And it's got there 2 tablespoons of your neutral oil, whatever oil you'd like to. I've got rice bran oil here, so I'm going to use half of this in frying off the beef slices here, and I'll leave the rest for a little bit later. Okay. Who's enjoying it? I hear a lot of There's a lot of going around the room. Okay, it must be a good sign. Okay, once I've heated up the oil there, now you sort of do this, if you've got a fair bit there, you might want to do it in batches, because you want to sort of fry off the flour on there, or, you know, basically brown off the beef slices on both sides. If you do have leftover flour in your bowl, that's fine. That will come in handy a little later. Like, you kind of fry it off the first time that you fry it off, and you sort of think, I can just eat it like this. It's tasty enough, you know. It's like, why do I need to add it to anything? But the beef slices is actually really good in stews, in soups, whatever, you know, you can basically put it into a lot of different things. So you just got to be creative. Okay. I might use that container there. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so once you've fried it off and it's browned on both sides, then what I'm going to do is take it out, back into a container or onto a plate. Just like so. And in your stews, I mean, there's usually some staple ingredients when it comes to the veggies, and those staple ingredients usually are celery, carrot, and potatoes. Yeah. So we are not going any different from that today. So I've got. Okay. So I've got in here the onion. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the rest of that. Now that I've fried that off, I've put that aside. I'm going to turn this back on. And I'm adding the rest. So this is the second tablespoon of oil. Okay, and then I'm going to add the onion and the garlic. So it's got there 5 cloves of garlic, 1 onion. So all of that straight in. The stovetop can be pretty quick with, and you're basically adding in, with the veggies, you're just chopping them up roughly. Yeah, I've got your celery, you've got your carrots. I'm going to mix that all in until the onions and the garlic have been cooked out a bit. Straight after this, once that's been cooked off a bit, I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of your tomato paste. That goes straight in. Give that a swirl. And then the sizzle just left. No more sizzling. Okay. Once that's been cooked through there, is this thing still on? It is. That's just, okay. Straight after that, I'm going to add, this is the 4 to 5 cups of your stock, liquid stock. So whether it's your own that's been made at home, or you can also get them in store. So my one's is just a store-bought one. I'm going to add that straight in. And after that's been done, I've got my potatoes. I'll add that straight in as well. Just gives it time to cook out. That's okay. Once this is done, you can basically then add in your beef slices straight into there. And then, you know, it's like we did last week, it's like a waiting game, you know. It's all up to the stovetop or the oven to do its job, and you're just there to overlook it. Okay. After that's done, I'm going to add in, I think I've got there 2 tablespoons of savoury yeast flakes. That goes straight in. Give that a good stir. That went down well with the toast, didn't it? It's nice on a really nice cold night when you just want to sit back and sort of with your blanket and you're just sitting there. Oh, that's the best. Those are the times where I sort of go, okay, I'm going to lock myself in the room. No children, please. And just have a bowl there, sitting there with a nice, with the toast there, just to pick up all those flavours. That's the good part. All right. Now, you may find that that as it cooks off, the liquid may still be a bit runny and may look more like a soup, but don't worry, there's always a fix to that. And the fix to that is you can either use the flour, if you've got the leftover flour, but I've actually done up a corn flour slurry. Okay, so I had there 3 tablespoons of the corn flour and just mixed in with a bit of water. And then once that's done, you sort of just pour that straight in, and you'll find that it will thicken up. It's not a good idea to sort of do it a while beforehand. It just sticks, you know. You're more like trying to work on Play-Doh here now. But it's all right. Eventually it will mix up and you'll be able to put it through. Okay, mushroom stock, okay, it's just like vegetables. You can actually get that in store, but you can also make that up, like say with the mushroom seasoning from downstairs, you can also make up, you know, a stock out of that too. So, okay, I think I've got it. I've mixed it up here, really good. And then we're just going to pour that straight in. That would have been embarrassing, wouldn't it? Okay, and that will, you know, thicken it up.
This is the mushroom stock.
Well,
It's like granules.
yeah, it's like granules. It's basically, if it's a, you know, you're basically just adding it to water. Like if it's a pot like this, you'll add it like as if it was seasoning. It's a seasoning.
Like a teaspoon or 2 or something.
Yeah, yeah,
We sell that downstairs, yeah?
we do.
Okay.
$14.40 with 10% off.
Yeah,
each day.
10% off tonight. last night, 10% off. Elim store, Elim Health Store, 10% off, and you get your mushroom stock down there. And the vegetable stock you put in there, was that also from downstairs or no?
No, it's not. I mean, like I said, like the vegetable stock, you can, like from your local supermarket, we don't, it's no different to the stock powder that we do sell downstairs. It's just, you know, that it comes in liquid form, the ones or the one that I've just used here. So
Great, thank you.
that's
The
a
question,
good
the question is,
question.
just repeat the question.
What's the percentage to make it up? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's more to your taste. Yeah, how salty you want it. So this is basically it. Now it has there that you can add there 2 tablespoons of vegan butter to this. It is optional, but it does make it taste nice. So the one that you actually had that butter or the vegan margarine in it, and that actually gave it a bit of a different.
For those wondering, the vegan margarine is the Nuttall-X, was it? Which one did you
Yeah,
use? The Nuttall.
there are a few out there.
A few out there, yeah.
Yeah, there are a few out there. So it's totally up to you. But you just basically read the labels to determine which ones are vegan and which ones are not. So. And it'll basically cook down and thicken up, and then from that I'm just going to add in the 2 cups of frozen peas. That goes straight in. Sorry, that's gone astray there. That pea didn't want to go into the pot, so okay. And it's just a matter of waiting for those potatoes. It's more the potatoes to actually cook through. And basically once that's done, your stew is ready to go.
Do we just have a look at that, at the consistency of it?
Paul,
Sorry.
you're always wanting me to get burnt.
Just for the
Okay.
camera here, just face it towards me.
All right. There
There
you
we
go.
go. Great.
Yeah, it is
Great.
still thickening up,
Yeah.
but once it does, it's like the consistency that you had. It would, yeah. You know, you don't necessarily need it in there. If it's just veggies, then by all means, you know, you just don't have to have that in there. But some people sort of trying to look for the alternative from going from meat eating to something healthier, and that is just an option, yeah. So, and that's the stew. That's basically it. It's very straightforward, very easy. I hope it was tasty too. You can shoot me later if it wasn't.
No, that's great.
This should serve about 4 people. Yeah. So, like any recipe like this, I have to triple it to be able to feed my family. So, I mean, when you have a family that is full of testosterone, yeah, you've got to look at a recipe and go, okay, it says it serves 4, so I've got to double it or triple it to be able to feed the family. So, yeah.
Yes. The talk tonight was the calorie intake. Smaller portions are better for you.
Try telling them that. I have no problems with calorie intake. I've done well so far with that, but
Fantastic.
the boys are something else.
Yeah, Tanya's done very well. Have you noticed Tanya since last year? She's done fantastic, hasn't she? With the intermittent fasting and calorie intake, it's great.
And that's it from me.
Thank you very
you.
much.
Put these things on.
Okay, who enjoyed the stew? Yeah? Nice? Okay, very nice. Okay, so now we have one. Look, our time is a packed night tonight. We're meant to finish at 9, but we've got one more for you. Do you have time? Would you like to go through that one more? Okay, last one for tonight and the last one for the series. All right, thank you. So this one, I saw there was the pumpkin, is it pumpkin? Pecan pumpkin pie, right? Okay. And we're going to have Amy demonstrate it. Okay, so she's going to come out. Here she is. Thanks, Amy.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Okay.
Look at that. Yum.
All right, I'll try and make this as quick as possible because I know we're running out of time. But who here likes their sweets? Yeah, a couple of hands. Good, good. All right. So we're going to do a super easy pumpkin pie. Now, for this recipe, I have pre-made the puree of the pumpkin, but it's super easy. So I've peeled it, cut it into chunks, and just put it in a baking tray, popped the oven on 220, and I just left it in there until it was soft. So I figured you didn't need to see that. You're all advanced here. And for this evening, we are going to use a short crust pastry. I've just bought a Coles brand, but you can use any pastry. You can even buy the pie shells already done. It'll work. It'll work in a big pie if you prefer more filling, or you can do the mini ones like we've done.
Can we see the
this
packet
evening.
there? You show us the packet there.
Oh, just a
There you
short
go.
crust pastry.
Thanks.
So I'll just quickly demonstrate one. It's melted a bit, but I've got a little cutter here, so I just cut it in rounds like that, and I just put 4 little slits in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I just fold the pastry together so you're making like a cup, just like that, and you pop it in your little cupcake tray. So then these I would bake in the oven. It takes about 10 minutes on about 200 until it's cooked, if you didn't want to buy the pre-made ones. If you've got our recipes from before and you remember our Elijah bread recipe, that is also, you can use that for this base. So simple alternative for the base. I'm going to do a bit of magic here and voila, how quick was that? So I've pre-baked these earlier on just to keep the ball rolling. One other thing, not so magical, when you do this, if you don't put anything in the middle, it will puff up. So a lot of people use the ceramic balls. I don't have any ceramic balls, but I use beans. So I grab a couple of just dry raw beans and I just pop it in there and I'll bake it like that. So then the base will stay flat and it won't heal. Now they do tend to stick a little bit, but you just pick them out. It's not a hard process. If you've got kids, get the kids to do it. It's a bit of fun.
Well, that's a secret I didn't know. That's great.
That's it. Yeah, super easy. Okay, I need the Vitamix, please. Thank you. So I've prepared the pumpkin. Also the night before, I've got soaked cashews. So to make them go a little bit softer, I soak them into salt water. So just cover probably about this much of water on top of your dry cashews, a bit of salt, chuck it in your fridge. They'll go this kind of purpley colour if you can. They look quite interesting, but that'll just give it a creamier texture. Perfect. Thank you very much. So in your blender, you pop your cashews. Spoon. Sorry. Your maple syrup. So cashews, there was 1 cup and 1/3 of a cup in there. You can do give or take. See how you like it. If you like it a bit firmer, I think put a few more cashews in it. If not, if you want it runnier, a little bit less. You pop your maple syrup, and it's 1 cup of maple syrup. If you don't like it as sweet, I find it's a little bit sweet, but my sister loves sweets and she loves it. So depending on how sweet you like it.
So this is a dessert, it's not the main course.
That's
okay,
right.
everybody.
So maple syrup is a natural sweetener as well, so it's not like sugar. Then we've got your pumpkin puree into there. And that's 2 cups of the pumpkin puree. And then the recipe called for an apple spice mix. Now, I don't think you can buy one here, so I just Googled an apple pie spice mix and threw it all in together, and I can't read these. And you put 2 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of your spice mix. Now, you can add whatever flavorings you like. If you don't like some of the spices, you can just put your own spices. So cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and that's pretty much it. Then you pop it in your blender. I'm going to make a bit of noise here. You can see it combining. I'll just scrape down the edges a little bit. But it comes together pretty well. If it is too dry, you can add a couple of tablespoons of water if you need it to be a little bit more runny. But any high speed blender will do this, especially because the cashews are soaked. So yeah. Okay, and that is your filling mix. So you can grab a spoon, and either if you've got a big pie shell, you just pour the whole mixture in and pop it in your oven. It's that simple. And you can place your pecans on top. Now, if you don't like pecans, you don't have to put it on them. That's all right, it worked. And you just pop them in your pie shells. And it's so simple. And I've always heard my sister-in-law's American, so you can imagine the Thanksgivings and the pumpkin pies at our place. And we never really did it until she came over. And we're like, oh, now we need to learn how to make pumpkin pies. But yeah, this one is that simple. Just fill up your shells. And then I've got here just pecans. And I've popped 3 on these little mini ones. You can just put 1 in the middle if you like, or you can put 2, however many you like. If you like more nuts on them, it's completely up to you. For a bigger one, I like to put them around the rim and a couple in the middle, and that's it. So would you all like to try one? That's the question. Could you ask them? They're coming. All right. Well, that kind of brings me to an end. So simple.
Great, thank you very much. And would you serve those cold or?
Yes.
Or cold?
Yeah, so once you've baked them, so that'll go in the oven for 10 minutes on, I'm testing my memory, on 200 degrees. And then reduce the heat to 175 and leave it in for another 20 minutes and it'll set. If you've got a bigger pie, you might need to adjust the times a little bit. But yeah, it'll harden. You'll see it kind of caramelize on the outside and it'll harden. One more thing, we're serving it tonight with an oat whipping cream. And we sell that downstairs, and we have just followed the instructions on here, so it's very simple. It's an oat whipping cream. So it's a cream made out of the oats. So you can buy that downstairs if you like it. So I hope you all enjoy. Was there any other questions? Simple? Awesome. Enjoy it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Tastes good?
Well, thanks.
I'm glad.
Okay. Nice. That's great. Nice way to finish up with the dessert. Well, we had almost a 4-course meal tonight. Was it 5-course meal? Just about, yeah? And it was all free. How about that? There's no other cooking demonstrations like this, I don't think. Tell me if there is, tell me about them. But we want to welcome, not welcome, but thank you all for coming tonight and over the past 2 weeks. It's certainly been a pleasure having you here with us, and it's also been a pleasure to be able to do these for you. And we have, I'm just very grateful that we've been able to do this for the first time without Lydia, and she'll be very proud of us, I'm sure. If she's going to watch one of these back home, I'm sure she'll be very proud of us.
She has been watching us.
Has she?
She has made a few comments.
Oh.
No, she's
constructive comments, I hope.
No, she's very happy with how it's all gone, and she's missing everyone, and they'll be back in 2.5 weeks. Okay. So they're enjoying their time in Brazil.
Great. Thanks very much, Amy. Yes, we do miss her too.
I will pass the messages on to them.
Yes.
Just one more thing, sorry. This filling will do 2 trays of your mini pies. So it's a tray of 12, it'll do 24.
Okay, easy. 24 trays.
Yeah.
24 pies.
24 little mini pies.
24 pies, thank you. Okay. Boy, these look good, don't they? Make sure we get photos of these here. All done? Great. All right. Fantastic. Well, just to let you know tonight, it's last night, Elim Health Store, everything off 10% downstairs, as you know, from last week, those who are here. And feel free to go down there. Some of the things on here. In the, I noticed the butter beans in the tin is from the shop. We sell the lima beans, dry lima beans downstairs. So if you just want to get the lima beans and soak them yourself, and you can feel free to do that as well. So they're there for sale downstairs as well. And the stock and whatnot, different other things. And also this, I haven't seen that before, the oat whipping cream. For those who are wondering, maybe this is your, as you know, we promote not just vegetarian, but also the benefits of vegan. Not that we're all vegan, but we sort of like to educate towards that way because it tends to be better to subsist more on the natural products of the earth than through the animal products. So we're just trying to promote a lot of things vegan, and so that's why some of these recipes are, you'll find in there the milk substitutes, whether it be oats or oat milk or almond milk or soy milk, yes, different things, different substitutes for the dairy, what you would normally find in the, in the shop for protein with the liquid protein substitutes, okay? So that's why that's all there. So if you have any questions on that, we also have information on why veganism versus vegetarianism. Why vegan versus dairy products. I gave a talk on that, I think, last year. You can go back on the YouTube channel, and you'll see the talk on that on calcium. You know the calcium and the benefits of calcium coming from a plant-based diet rather than an animal-based diet, and what the difference is. Milk versus calcium in milk versus calcium in your foods. Who remembers, I'm going to rack your brain here, we had something tonight that's got a lot of calcium in it. Who remembers? Starts with B and ends in I. Broccoli, yeah, full of calcium. Very good for you. So just remember that. Well, I'd like to now call everyone out. If all the cooks like to come out, and everybody, please come out, everybody, because we like to see what actually goes on behind the scenes. It's not just the ones out the front here, but we have a lot of helpers. So please come forward, everybody. I just want to show you who's been helping out there, and if you'd like to show them your appreciation for it, we have Naya, Kiki, Owen, and anyone else out there? Say, come on, everybody. Yeah. Come on, say. Hey. All right. So there's a few of them out there. But anyway, thank you very much, and we hope you've enjoyed it for this series. And if you'd like us to keep you informed of next series, just let us know. Of course, we've got those who've got your names there. You'd like us to let you know for the next time we have these, everybody? Yep. Okay, so we'll let you know, and tell your friends about them. The more, the better, and share the good news of hope and health, yep, in the community. Thank you very much. Good night. God bless. And till next time. Bye-bye. Don't forget, 10% off the shop downstairs just for tonight. Off everything down there. Yes? Oh, sorry, before we go, we're just going to have one little prayer that the Lord may take care of us all as we go home tonight and until we see you again next time. Let's bow our heads. Gracious Father in heaven, we thank you so much for the privilege we've had to be here tonight. Thank you for the wonderful information you've imparted to us through our lifestyles, how to live a longer life, a healthier life, and also for the good food that's been prepared here and for the recipes, for this knowledge. Lord, thank you so much. May you bless everyone here, bless their families, their loved ones. Keep every one of us here safe until we meet again. We pray this and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Good night, God bless, and see you next time. Bye-bye.